And welcome to the Dog on It Trucking Show, where I get to talk to some of the great trucking influencers. And this week is no different. Kim Richardson is on the show with us, and we get to talk about a lot of different things. Stay till right near the end when Kim talks about TransRep and the interesting things that company is doing. So great interview. I got to thank Kim. He is certainly a trucking influencer. Let's get on to this week's interview with Kim Richardson of KRTS, and he does so many other things. A great interview. I know you'll enjoy. Hey Kim, welcome to the Dog on It Trucking Podcast.
How you doing, Chris?
Real well, Kim. Real well.
Good.
What are you doing up? I see you're in your office today. That's kind of unusual for you.
Yeah, well, Mondays and Fridays are generally what I call detail days. So if you're going to catch me in the office, that's good days to catch me. Mondays and Fridays.
Oh, perfect. I'm glad I caught you and I can catch up to you. I got a question, kind of. We've known each other now for how long?
Geez, we've had this debate a few times now. I want to say over 2 decades. I think that's a very safe statement. How long do you think we've known each other?
I think it might be longer, because I've been on my own for 6 years, with Old Republic for about 15, so that's 21, and we certainly knew each other when I was at TNT. So
that's when we met.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be over 25 years.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be 25 to 30.
Yeah.
Got it.
I remember those meetings out in the Ontario Trucking Association. That's when you and I first met.
Yeah, and I actually missed those meetings. I thought they were a huge value.
Well, they were, and OTA has certainly, they've evolved and pivoted as they've had to over the years, but those safety meetings were awesome. I learned so much surrounding ourselves with great people, right?
Yeah.
As a young guy, they were important.
Yeah, I learned a lot there, and I met a lot of people like you there.
Yeah, and vice versa.
But anyway, we do want to get into a few subjects, I think, today. And the first one I'd like to ask you about is, what the heck is this acronym NRRS?
That stands for the National Recruiting and Retention Symposium, which we founded, TransRep founded last year, and we're having our next event April 23rd and 24th this year.
Cool, April 23rd and 24th, so that's a 2-day event. What's going on? Why? I had the privilege of coming there last year, but why would I attend this year? What would be the benefit if I was a recruiter to attending the event?
So first of all, Chris, not only did you attend, and you're a pretty humble guy, you're a sponsor. So thank you for being a sponsor of that event. And without the sponsors, it doesn't happen, quite frankly. And last year we had 120 people. We sold out. We were turning people away. So this year we moved the venue to Lions Head Conference Center in Mississauga or Brampton, depending upon where you look on the internet. But this is geared 100% towards the HR department,
okay,
the recruiting and retention department, and middle and senior management. And last year, through our analytics, we were able to find out that over 50% of those people fit that category. So this year is going to be another stellar event for sure.
Well, who do you have coming? I remember one speaker in particular there last year that I got a lot of value from. Well, that was Scott Ray.
He's coming back.
Is he going to be back?
Yeah, Scott's back. He's got a whole new presentation on geared towards recruiting and retention. He's back by popular demand. We've got a really interesting speaker. They're all interesting, but Joel Mandelbaum is the publisher of Increasing Your Visibility and Crushing Your Competition Online. And with today's technology, as we all know, it's very important in recruiting and retention. And I've heard Joel, and us getting Joel to our event is pretty special.
So, sorry, I didn't know Joel was going to be there. And yes, I'm happy to sponsor the event, but it really hits home for me because as I launch a new podcast, of course, I'm all over social media. So you've seen his talk. What might I learn about social media and how to use it for business?
Yeah, so actually Joel's background is he was involved in transportation years ago when he was a young guy. He's got a little bit of a transportation twist to him as well. And at the end of the day, from a recruiting perspective, for companies, it's about the right fit. And a lot of that can be done out of the gate, step one, I would call it, through the online process. And Joel's going to walk us through that. The other folks that we have involved, including Scott Ray, Kelly Henderson is coming in from the Atlantic provinces to talk about the younger generation and recruitment and retention. Of course, Jeff Topping is back and Mike McCarron are back by popular demand as well from our analytics survey. And they're going to be focusing on recruiting and retention, both separate panels. And the carriers and experts we have involved, from my perspective, Chris, are the best, are best in class for sure.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the event, and now that you twigged my interest with the social media, I really want to be there. I'll make sure I won't miss that one. Now, what else? Is there anything else? Is there anything else we should know about NRRS, National Recruiting Retention Symposium?
Yeah, so it's really a one-day event. The night before is the appreciation night, the transportation appreciation night, and it's going to be a cocktail party and appreciation night that gets going around 6:30. We're going to have tons of prizes, great prizes for those who attend. Sponsors are inviting out some of their customers, potential customers. We're expecting a great turnout for that, and that's if you can't attend the symposium itself. That night is food and drink for $60, and includes a chance to win some great prizes.
Now, is that where I saw an interview being done last year?
Yeah, maybe. I am working by memory here. I know we had Marketing Mark was in from the U.S. with Scott, and they did a bunch of videoing and put together a nice little follow-up for us. But yeah, there's going to be lots happening both days, and it is a certificate day as well, so anyone who attends a full day will receive a certificate of completion, which outlines all the different things that are being taught that day. So people will be able to use that for sure.
Well, before we leave NRRS and switch topics a little bit, Kim, is there anything else that we need to know about the recruiting retention?
No, I would just say the only thing I'd like to wrap up with, Chris, is L3 is the leader in simulation in the world, both for commercial driving as well as many other areas, and they're sponsoring our National Recruiter of the Year award, which last year was Leanne Quayle from Quayle Transport. And for all the companies that listen to this, these recruiters and HR people should be recognized. So get their names in and let's recognize a great professional out there in the industry.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a tough job, and it takes a lot of skill to do it. And a good recruiter can save you just a ton of money. Now,
yeah, sure.
Thank you. I want to say congratulations, because recently I attended the TTSAO annual convention, and I know you and a group of people have a lot to do with that. How was that event for you?
It's always excellent. And Chris, there's just so many great people in this industry who give of their time and resources, and that's really important, because there's so many, and I know it's in every industry, but there's a lot of different symposiums and conferences and seminars that go on, and they're all worthwhile for sure. So very important.
Yeah, and your work with the TTSAO is also very important, because I know there's TTSAO is one of the lobby groups, for lack of a better term, that work hard with MTO and the university group. I don't know what you'd call it, but there's changes coming, I think, that TTSAO is helping to influence. What's coming down the pipe that you are able to tell the public?
Oh, happy to share that currently there's a group of industry stakeholders that are meeting to align the mandatory instructor qualifications. That will happen. They have laid a date out that they expect to have this by implemented and out in the province, and I applaud the government for doing this. You know, these instructors, they should receive the proper education to teach entry level and existing drivers, and there's a number of great courses, some that you know of very well, that people should attend to become better. You teach them, so you know the importance of it. So instructor qualifications are coming. You will see them, I would say, by end of summer 2021, and there's a group of great people, including those from TTSAO, that are involved in the curriculum and the standard.
That's good news, because I do believe that mandatory entry level training, one of the flaws in it was not having qualifications for who was training the drivers.
100%. And as you know, we were at that table for all of those meetings, Chris, and you know, we shared our concerns with government in two fashions. Number one, that the instructor qualifications needed to be dealt with, and equally as important is mandatory entry-level training for DZ drivers. So the dump trucks and ready-mix trucks and, you know, all those big trucks that are out there with the same capacity as a commercial vehicle, tractor trailer. So I know they're looking at that as well, and this instructor qualification is another step in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, and is there any word yet? You were able to put some sort of a time frame on the instructor qualifications. Is there a time frame for including DZ in the mandatory entry level?
Yes, I can say that there hasn't been a time frame set for that. You know, what's the old saying? How to eat an elephant one bite at a time. And this is a pretty big elephant that the ministry and that the industry's tackling, and thank goodness they are. It's long overdue. I'm hoping that after instructor qualifications, we'll just move right into DZ. And from our perspective, from an industry perspective, it's not going to be that difficult. We did a lot of heavy lifting with the AZ. I guess we should call it ELT now, not MELT, because it is going across nationally. So NELT, I guess, National Entry Level Training. All these acronyms.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it is going across. For the longest time, Ontario was the only jurisdiction in North America that had any minimum training for tractor trailer drivers. Have any other jurisdictions yet rolled it out?
Yes, they have rolled it out, and I don't want to name the provinces in case I leave someone out, Chris, but I can tell you that from a federal perspective, there was an announcement last week about the NELT standard, and Ontario's been a leader. They've been a leader in this from day one, and I know that other provinces are using it as a model. You know, I think that we also deserve to, or if there's some other deserving parties that should be mentioned here. I mean, I know that the PTDI standard, there's a lot of that in the MELT standard and going to be in the NELT standard. I know you're very involved with PTDI as well.
Yeah, PTDI has been very good to me, and that's the Professional Truck Driver Institute in the U.S., but there are a number of Canadian schools, truck training schools, that are also members. And it's a great organization. I know KRTS is a member of PTDI. I read the press release for the national standard that's being rolled out for mandatory entry-level training. Are there any major changes, do you think, from what the minister said?
No, I don't think so. I think that other provinces are going to be like-minded. From an association perspective, TTSAO's flagship curriculum is 200 hours. So when they announced the melt at 103.5, I mean, the membership of TTSAO, so that's great. That'll maybe help with some of the less reputable schools out there, or help them improve and bring their standards up. But the TTSAO for years, many of their members, most of their members, offer a 200-hour curriculum. And just as clarification, with PTDI, the programs are certified, so there's no way to really become a member. Your program is certified, and that's global now. I mean, you know this. I think you were in Germany, weren't you?
Yes, I had the privilege of being sent to Germany to audit a location. Absolutely. Just going back to the standards, 103.5. What does, my background's trucking insurance.
Yeah.
What does the insurance industry generally say about 103.5?
Geez, I'm going to get myself into trouble here, but that's okay. I'll comment anyway. When you talk to some of the insurers, they're supporting the 200-hour program.
Yeah.
And, they're saying that the highest standard, obviously, is what they want. Now, I think where insurance companies are being very, let's say, their understanding of the fact that the 103.5 hours is acceptable as long as there's a good finishing program tied back to the carrier. So what we're hearing some insurers say is, yeah, we'll write that insurance on the MELT program, but the carrier better have a pretty good finishing program, or we're not going to write that insurance. Whereas if they take the 200-hour course, 200-hour curriculum, it's a little bit more easier for the insurance company to supply insurance. And it's just a percentage. They'll only insure a percentage of their driving population.
Yeah. I mean, statistically, believe it or not, newly licensed drivers typically don't have real serious catastrophic crashes. They have what I call the oops. They rip the trailer door off. They cause $10,000, $20,000, significant incidents, but they're not out there having the catastrophic losses, generally speaking. But you still need a proper finishing program, I believe, to get them through to minimize even that type of a loss.
For sure, Chris, and I couldn't agree with you more. One of the things that government and industry need to remember, that we can have all these wonderful programs, but if the insurance industry is not going to insure them, we've got to make sure the insurance is on side. And we've been pretty good at getting insurance to the table at the government level so that they hear the needs and wants of the insurance industry. They're playing an important role.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we both know right now, insurance is going crazy as we're taping this. It's been a hard market.
Yeah, I hear that term, hard market, one more time. I'll tell you. Well, I mean, it is a fact. It is a very hard market. And, Chris, I don't want to sound like too negative when I say this, but we needed this hard market. We really did. I mean, the insurance carriers and companies, they've been bleeding for a bit, and they're taking it. They're cleaning up, helping clean up the industry, and I mean that in a very positive fashion.
Yeah, and I would agree with you that the majority of the companies that are having insurance renewal difficulties deserve to have insurance renewal difficulties. There have been one or two that mistakenly got mixed in with that bathwater and thrown out as well. But on the whole, I have to say that, the right ones are being targeted, and the good companies with proper practices are being left alone.
Yeah, and I think that term, for the most part, is a good thing to say. I know that there is some carriers who are being painted with the same brush as the less than reputable carriers. because some of these good carriers have to offset the cost of some of these bad, which is unfortunate. I think there's been a lot of talk about the captive market. I think there's been a lot of talk about different ways to insure entry-level drivers and take a look at drivers, meaning psychometric testing and cognitive testing. And you see some insurance companies, I'm going to say behind the curtain, taking a look at that sort of stuff. I think it's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of new things coming down the pipe. Now, I got a question for you. As listeners might think, if they've never thought about it, we kind of toss back and forth some of the questions, but here's a question I didn't prepare you for, so hopefully you can answer it. I never hear you say a bad word about anybody, and I've said this to you in person before, that sometimes I know you well enough, I'll see you in a meeting and I can see you biting your lip, but you never say a bad word. My question is, where in the heck did you learn that from? Is there somebody, you've had many mentors in the past, who set you up for that? Because that's one of the strongest ethics that I've seen. Most of us, unfortunately, don't adhere to that nearly as strongly as you do. Where did you learn that from?
Oh, Chris, thank you for mentioning that and saying that. I never really thought too much about this, but it started with my grandma. My grandma, she raised 16 children, and she had the greatest outlook on life. And her term about people was quite simplistic. There's good and bad in everybody. Some you just have to look a little harder for the good. And I think those are great words to remember. And I would much rather talk about the positive. I find talking negatively, especially about people, I find it very toxic. And I actually find it toxic to be around people who want to talk negatively about people. It does us no good.
Yeah, absolutely it doesn't. And as I say, a compliment to you. I've never heard you say a negative word, no matter the situation. And sometimes you are in your position and your politics and stuff, you're being goaded into the thing, and compliments to you. You never fall into the trap.
Wow, thank you for saying that, Chris. I can't say that I'm not guilty sometimes of maybe talking a little bit negative, but I always try to chew on my words before I spit them out. I think that's really solid advice that I've learned over the years as well.
Yeah, and I think that's really truthful. One of the other things I do admire about you is time management. You always manage to make time for the important things, and somehow, I don't know how to describe it, I just know that you control your time very well. How do you do that? What have you learned about time management over the years?
Well, Chris, early on in business, I would say in the early 90s, I was just terrible at time management. We were juggling a lot of balls. We were trying to diversify, and I just wasn't good at it. And I took a course. Reagan Wood was our teacher. Reagan Wood. Shout out to Reagan Wood. She was our teacher at Mohawk College, and it was probably one of the best courses I ever invested in. And we all get 24 hours in a day. It's up to us how we spend them. And I have become and very proud of my time management skills, because what's most important to me is my family. And if I manage my time properly, I get all the time that I could possibly need with my family.
Right. Now, do you have any tips or tricks for time management?
Yeah, Chris, I should mention, I've put together a presentation called Time Management and Life and Business Lessons Learned. And I've done this presentation a few times. I really enjoyed it. But one of the things I say to people is, how are you spending your time now? And when you ask that open-ended question, people will have a response, but then I'll respond with the question, how do you know? And what I mean by that is if you just took a week of your time, or a week allocated a week and wrote down and documented the things you do in your day and then tie the time frame to it, you'll be amazed after a week when you calculate your work time, personal time, social media time, taxing time. And I know that may sound difficult to do, but I want every listener out there, anybody who's watching this, if I can do it, anybody can. And that's a great tip. If you want to manage your time, put together your to-do list before the end of each business day, follow that to-do list the next day. Now it's going to grow because things happen on a daily basis, but your to-do list is really, really important.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, you mentioned public speaking. You've given this program, seminar, presentation to different groups. Are you available to give it out? I say give it out. Are you available to present to other groups?
Yes, Chris. Every year I sit down and think through my 12 and 24 and 36 month plan, and I'm committing this year, 2020 and 2021, to going out and making this presentation to anyone who's interested at no charge, other than travel and expense where applicable. But Chris, both you and I were pretty fortunate to have some pretty great mentors, and they paid it forward to us. And remaining humble, it's now time for me to pay it forward. And investing in our youth is very important to me. Investing in people is very important to me. And I didn't understand the impact that the presentation had until I delivered it first to the Delta New Alpha in Toronto, and then a few months later at the Private Motor Trucking Council of Canada's Young Leader Program. Mm-hmm. And some of the compliments and comments I got back were pretty rewarding. So I'm looking forward to doing this. I got a couple gigs coming up that I've been asked to participate in, so it's going to be fun.
Well, good. Hopefully I'll be at one of them that I can hear. Because time management for me is, it's a struggle. I think it's a struggle for most people. It's probably still a struggle for you. Does it ever get away from you?
I would love to say it does. I really think at times it does, but I'm so structured with my time management. I believe that everybody should work half days. It doesn't matter which half, either the first 12 hours or the second. And if you're going to be successful in life and business, that's a good way to look at things. And I think it's also important how we work. Part of my presentation, I talk about wearing the busy badge, and I've tried to eliminate busy from my vocabulary. I think that people hang their hat on, oh, I'm busy. Well, what are you busy at? What does that mean? What does busy mean to you? So I think that managing your time, if you're going to be successful, is ultra critical.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that. I can work a 10, 12, 14-hour day some days and get nothing substantial accomplished. But I was busy.
Yeah. I think, Chris, if you took a look back and wrote down in that 10, 12-hour day when you say you didn't get anything done, I bet you got a lot done. You don't realize it until you write it down. It's pretty amazing what you accomplish in a day. Now, when you take a look at was I making money or wasn't I making money? Sometimes when you're doing those things where you're not actually making revenue, you're creating revenue because of the programs you're developing and the customer service or sales calls you're making. And you've got to be proud of yourself where you've come since Safety Dawg was launched.
Well, it's been fun. Let me tell you that. Now I know you are on time management, and I know that you schedule everything. So, being careful of your time. Last words. What does Kim have on the go that he would like to share?
Oh, geez. Well, I can tell you that a lot of my focus the last couple of years has been with TransRep. We have a great team that manages our businesses, and we're very fortunate that way. Matt has heavily involved with the management of Matt Richardson is heavily involved in the management of KRTS.
Yep.
My daughter, Jamie Phillips Richardson, she's heavily involved helping out on the Transrep side. My focus over the next couple of years is going to be on Transrep. We continue to grow that brand with through our some of my teammates don't like me call it headhunting, but it is what it is. We're growing that sector of the business. Is our time up? We'll see you later, Chris.
Well, no, I forgot. I have an alarm set every Monday at 10 to 1 because I go live on Facebook at 1 o'clock. But
good for you. So that's part of your time management.
Yeah, I set an alarm, So,
good for you.
Where Transrep? I don't know much about Transrep. I certainly know KRTS, and that's a well-known brand. What does Transrep do besides, you mentioned personnel or headhunting?
Yeah, well, originally we started out, Transrep was founded based on the fact that we were going to use all of our connections to introduce services to companies who may not know about them and assist in the blockade that's generally put up when a service or product is trying to get in the door. And that's been very successful for us. We have a number of companies who have used our services. From that, we got involved in the middle and upper management personnel service. That's been very successful for us. The symposium falls under the Transrep brand. We've been doing some M&As, some mergers and acquisitions. And my goal over the next 24 months is we're going to button down this placement and headhunting business for middle and upper management. We've got some great ideas, and that's where I'm going to be spending some of my time. And, in regards to time management, I'm going to take 100 days off this year. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's flipping awesome. That's 1/3 of the year. Congrats on that. Congrats
Thank
on
you.
Transrep. I know that you have your fingers in a lot of pies. A lot of hard work at TTSAO and working with the government, which I thank you for. You've got KRTS, and Matt does do a great job of the day-to-day operation there, but I know you still keep a finger on that. And now you've got Transrep. You've got the, as our friend used to call it, the fish wrap. What was...
I haven't heard that in a while. The rearview mirror.
Oh, yeah. Yes, the rear view mirror, yes.
That's funny. Man, and you know what? Our friend was 100% on the button when he called it fish wrap, because when we launched it, after the first couple issues, I'm not sure I'd even wrap my fish in it. And I know that's what our friend was referring to. But, we've grown that to thousands of subscribers on both sides of the border. Chris and Lisa, my lovely bride, she oversees the rearview mirror and everything that happens with it. So there's a lot of moving pieces to our businesses, and I will tell you that we are so fortunate to be surrounded by so many great people that help make our businesses successful. We wouldn't be where we are today without them, and that includes you. So thank you for all you've done for us.
Well, thank you, Kim. And last words, you got any, did we leave anything out today that you wanted to talk about?
Geez, no, I don't think so, Chris. I know the only thing that I would probably mention to the industry as a whole is, your support in reference to some of the things that are being worked on from government initiatives with DZ licensing and instructor qualifications. Everybody's support is important, and getting your voice out there and participate, get involved. We can use you.
Yeah. Well, I thank you, Kim. Thank you so much for spending, roughly 30 or so minutes with us and our viewers and listeners. Kim, thanks so much. I appreciate everything that you do for the industry.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for allowing me to do this. It's a privilege.
Thanks for sticking out to the end there. That was a great interview with Kim Richardson. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, leave me a comment, leave me a review. It helps out the show so much, and I can be able to get more and other trucking influencers onto the show. Thanks so much. Safety Dogs out.